how does the Delta variant play into all of this? And I say it from the perspective, Dr. Phil, it looked like we were doing much better earlier this summer, right? So maybe you're making those goals and you're trying to make steps, and then Delta surges in some areas of the country. So you can't do all the activities that you might have wanted to do before, right? It creates more fear, more anxiety. Now we hear again, seems to be doing better. But for many people, it's this roller coaster ride that everyone doesn't respond to well. So how do we help folks there with some actionable steps that helps protect their mental health, where you think things are going okay, right? And then there's a detour because of Delta. And it's been happening a lot over the past year.
Well, it's interesting. Research shows it's not what happens in life that upsets people. It's violation of expectations that upset people. So if we expect a success-only journey, if we expect everything to go a certain way and it doesn't, that's when we get upset. It's not if we don't have a success-only journey expectation, then we don't get that upset. So what I tell people to do is let's examine our expectations. Viruses are very unpredictable. I mean, we know that. And we're going to have to make decisions about how we live. And I hate that this has become a political issue, but we have to rely on the science. And if we know going in and we just say, look, I'm going to make some plans here, and I know that we're going to have this virus is going to wax and wane. And so we may have a few setbacks. We may have some delays, but I'm expecting that. I know that because I know viruses are unpredictable. And I know that with season change, it may affect things. I know that some people want to get vaccinated, some people don't. So everybody's not pulling in the same direction. So things may not be just lockstep predictable, but as long as I know that, and I expect that there are going to be some setbacks, then when it happens, I go, okay, I expected this. I knew this was going to come. Then I roll with it. It's only when something happens that I wasn't prepared for mentally that I tend to have anxiety or even panic. So we have to adjust our expectations so we don't get surprised or ambushed by something that was really very predictable if we had just not been naive in setting our expectations.
Well, let's switch it a little bit to kids and adolescents, because we're talking about expectations. We're talking in some ways about controlling what we can control. Adolescents and kids can't always control their environment, don't have control over all aspects of their life. We often talk about how kids are resilient, and many are, but let's be practical, some aren't. How is the COVID pandemic impacting kids?
Sadly, unfortunately, I think it's impacting children developmentally, mentally, emotionally, and academically quite a bit. And it varies, as you say. Some have sailed through this. I think the younger children, it's affected academically quite a bit. I think some of the older children, socially, in terms of their social development and not being able to interact, it's created some developmental delays there. We have to remember that kids can have problems, but they lack the ability to really articulate those problems. So as parents, we have to really pay attention and make sure that we're watching for those warning signs with those children and be sure that we pick up on those so we can go to them and say, hey, listen, are you having trouble here? How are you doing? What is it?